Hi, this is Dottie the Psychic, and I am sorry that it's 3 minutes past. We're waiting for our guest to come on because I wasn't able to get her link before 3 minutes ago. I ran in the door and sat down, so y'all, it's been one of them dark days. It has. So let's give her a little while to come on. And hello, I've got one eyeball already. Hello, who's there? I see you. I got 3 eyeballs. Hello. Like I said, just give us a minute. I got her the link very late, like it's in just like maybe 4 minutes ago. So it might take her a second to come on to the live stream. Yes. Ta-da! All eyes on me. Happy New Year's, all. How's your year going? Tell me about your year. I'm kind of interested. It's been pretty good for me getting the business up and running. Got a whole new set of social media. Got a social media manager, Mountain Mystic PC Mountain. I'm going to have to look their name up. That's really bad. Hey, Joe, I know you're in the live stream. What's your name again? Mystic Mountain PC. Anyway, they're great. I'm screwing up their name, but they're great. We are still waiting for our guest because I didn't give her enough time to get on. And Facebook said that it was going to kick my live stream if I didn't get logged on. So I logged on, and here we are. We're waiting. Mystic PC. PCs. PCS, yes. Mystic Computers, there we go. Oh, Lord, y'all. It has been one of them dark days. I usually get off at work at 4:30. Usually I'm like chomping on the bit to get out. Today I got out of work at 6. That's the way it goes sometimes. Realistically, it was a little later than that because I have to transport clients sometimes, so it was a little bit, yeah. Hi. And I know I haven't posted today's challenge. So for those of you watching, today's challenge was to drink a glass of water, which I don't know how long it's been sitting here. Probably not since last night because I've been trying to be good about drinking water lately. But that's today's challenge, is to drink some water. Yeah, I'm supposed to have a vacation next week. I don't know if that's why this week's particularly crazy. I'm sure it's why the week when I come back is going to be completely nuts. So that's where we are. We are still, yay. We are still waiting for our guest star. She did just Facebook me. I told her I was going to be a little late. So, hoping that, the interwebs is not slowing down her getting the link even more than I did. Yeah. Nope. We got the interwebs. We got the... In the modern day, you think we'd always have the interwebs. Ooh, we got 4 eyeballs. Hello. It's so nice to see you. In my post-work fluff, like, look, this is the mohawk. I try to do it up for y'all when I have just the plain mohawk. But right now, you can tell this is the work mohawk. It's almost normal hair. Which is kind of why I went with it, because it's punk rock, but I can also pull off the day look. At least when I don't shave my head, which I do like to do. Oh, shit. That's not going to copyright. That was silly. So, part of the reason I've been extra crazy lately is because I have been working on my social media. I told you all about my new social media managers. I've actually got my website is up and running. I have hours of operation now. I will be providing readings. All you have to do is contact. I think you can Oh, there's our guest star. Ah, now introducing Miss Laurelie Black.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the live stream. I am sorry, this is non-standard AF. I am usually on time, but I work with the public.
I definitely get that. Oh, dang it. Hold on.
Yep, you froze.
Yeah.
You know the computer will like systematically find the goofiest look to freeze on, inevitably, and we lost her. That was our guest star, folks. Though she'll be back, I'm sure. This is my life. This is where I live. This is a profession I chose for myself, to be a YouTube star. I'm getting pretty good at it, though. I've been working on some outfits for a video that is not coming out next week. I'm having to push back my Tassiomancy video. I know. Trust me. I am far more devastated than you are that I have to push it back a little bit. She's back. Okay.
Sorry.
That's not right. That's the... We have a rotating guest star.
I'm trying to get it to the because I was watching while I was waiting for everything to get started, and I was like occupying my time on, YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It is not. That is certainly not the way I usually run my business. But it was a little crazy today. So I know we have been trying to do this live stream for months, literally months now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean it's been one thing after another. It's been health stuff and it's been pandemic stuff related on my end,
Right.
Well,
the day we were gonna do the trial run was the night after the riots. I'm like, I don't know if I should take this as a sign. I'm glad you're here.
It's been pretty wacky, but but we're getting it done, so that's good.
Right? That's where I live, Wackyville. Town crazy. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you've got you're an author, you're an up-and-coming YouTube star. I know that you are also a traditional witch, and I want to pick your brain because, as an eclectic witch, I've had certain experiences that I'm sure, you hear everybody who's an eclectic witch tell you about. So I want to pick your brain about the traditionalists.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered it pretty well. So the only thing that's probably not in there is that part of what I also produce content about is Aphrodite and being a priestess of Aphrodite. So if you Google the name Laurelie Black, that's usually the first kinds of content, first books that pop up, or those books that I wrote 20 years ago now. Some of them on that topic as well. For me, they blend very much.
That divine feminine.
Yeah.
So although you don't want to get like the Diana, I always thought it was funny that like the Dionysian practitioners always seem to want to get naked. I'm like, that's not really Diana's thing. That's more Aphrodite's thing. I'm like, I'm cool with it, but I think they're going in the wrong. I don't know.
And Aphrodite is often depicted naked, and there are some good reasons for that. There are some historical reasons for that, and I think there's symbolic for that. So part of it is, I think, very bold, and she sort of stands right out and shows you all of what she is, and then with this sort of illusion aspect that's around, for instance, very white goddess figures, like that. You then get to decide how much of it you can even cope with.
Right.
But then she's also associated with like very fine clothes and lots of colors and really sort of being into
decadence, yeah.
Yeah.
Glamour. She is the goddess of glamour.
And sensuality. I mean, some of that's like the textures that you like to wear. Like if I'm wearing something that just is really feely and I can't stop like petting myself, I'm like, oh, it's a very Aphrodite moment you're having with that. It might be the ugliest sweater, but it feels so nice.
You know, I have one of those sweaters. It's a blue one. I've worn it everywhere. I like wear it over a bathing suit, and I think I'm a freaking movie star.
We all have that.
So, let's see. I'm sorry, I literally slid into the plate here, so I've got to kind of just recalibrate. Tell me about, I know that you're doing, you have like a online publication you're working with, the Evoke?
I do. Yeah, I sure do. So Evoke Magazine or Evoke Publication has been around for a couple of years, but it just had a reopening or a rebranding, a re-release in, I think, September of 2020. So they changed platforms and they kind of changed a little bit about what they were doing. They're seeking contributors. So we're a very small handful of contributors at this point. So, looking for publishing content on a regular basis about what it is that they're doing in terms of witchcraft, paganism, lifestyle aspects related to those things.
You're breaking up.
Oh no!
What is it with technology? You know what, though? I got to tell you, I thought it was funny. Like the week before you decided to come on my live stream, you talk about madness and witchcraft going hand in hand. I'm like, I feel called out.
Yeah, they do though, and if for no other reason than those people that are going to be in tune with otherworldly energies are going to be seen as being
a little out there,
just in some way not fitting in with the rest of society.
I was going to wonder that. Yeah, because you think about it, people who come into, I mean, unless you're born into, if you're second generation, I can't speak for you, but I know somebody who was not really sort of like, generation 1.5-ish. You almost have to like, you're almost breaking from sort of mainstream something to begin with. Like, but I mean, I remember somebody cracking a joke about how nobody comes to magic from a healthy mental place.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I would necessarily, like, I've known some very stable people that I wouldn't necessarily, and I'm not a mental health professional, so it's not my place to go diagnose anybody, but that I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, they're dealing with this issue, they're dealing with that issue. What I will say is that on some level, I think everybody is a little crazy, and that there's a lot of like finding your compatible crazy. This is a phrase that my friend group introduced me to about 13, 14 years ago.
Like
a group of people, with whom I had a lot of compatible crazy, so it worked out really, really well for me. But when it's not working, when it's not fitting, and I think the best service we can do for ourselves is know when whatever it is that's going on with us, because this world is a crazy making place. To know when we're experiencing a level of disconnect that's not serving us and that's making it harder for us to actually just doing the getting shit done aspects of living.
How apropos.
Well, and I mean, coming in from we all have to work. Well, maybe not all of us have to work, but like most of us have to work to be able to pay bills. That's a very real factor. We all need those the survival tickets that we call money.
Yeah, someday this is going to be my meal ticket, but until then, I got a day job.
Yeah, I mean, I have a day job. We almost everybody has to have something to get them started,
right?
Or to keep them going, or to ground them. Like some people even choose to keep doing not just their psychic and witchy work, but to have that
something else. You know,
Yeah.
that's actually one thing that because when I started, I've learned a little bit about a lot of different paths. I don't know what it is about my particular path, but I never seem to actually, like, I'm not supposed to be on one path I'm on my own path. But so I've picked up a lot of different things from different paths. And one of my favorite was actually like when I started studying Kabbalistic magic. It's like straight up madness on the black box warning, you know, to may cause insanity. Like, sounds like my kind of gig, but but it did. And one of the people I was actually listening to, Frater Xavier. Have you ever checked out his channel?
I haven't. No.
Mind and Magic. Like, I plug them pretty often because he kind of got me through a dark time. But like, he was like, you need something else. If you get too much into magic, then you do become not disassociated, but a little bit disassociated from the world. You become so ungrounded that you can't function in this reality anymore.
Yeah,
and I've definitely seen people do that.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing, and you can. One of my friends within the magical community, and I'm involved with more than just the sort of witchcraft community. I think early on in the channel, I'd mentioned Babylon Rising several times. The Babylon Rising Panthelemic Festival is an event that I'm one of the co-directors for, and it is a thelemic event, and but it has lots of magic that's happening there from lots of different folks. So we have lots of OTO folks, but also like IoT, the Illuminates of Thanateros, and lots of other chaos magicians and lots of other other thelemic orders that are represented there, and then other people that don't necessarily identify with that kind of thelemic magic, where they might be calling themselves frater or sorer, but just, sort of the witches and druids and pagans and heathens of the world that are like, want to come to this magic. Where is all the magic at? And so in this area particularly, so that event happens in southern Indiana. It's pretty well known.
Let me know when that happens. I would love to go and not live stream, but like vlog. That's the word. Some call it vlog. I call it a vlog. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's very intense. It can be very intense. And one of the things that I've heard a lot from folks there, who, we've got people that have been practicing magic for ages, and some of the best known authors within ceremonial magic come out and present at this festival. But that idea of grounding and keeping yourself centered, or at least counterbalancing, you go up to these high highs with your magic, but then you need to ground
you gotta level out.
Yeah,
you got to level out on your own, or you're going to get leveled.
on some level, that is definitely true. And also not to just sort of exist within this sort of echo chamber where all you hear is you and your spirit communication and just that sort of internal or like personal validation. Yeah, you need to be reality testing and double checking and getting outside sources.
This was one of those things. Like, one of the things I really push, like, because this is a psychic channel, and I try to keep it, Christian friendly. Because my mom's Christian, so I try to keep it Christian friendly. So one of the things I try to promote is what I call practical ritual. I'm like, okay, fine. If you don't believe in the magic, then you still have a clean room. Go clean your room, but see how much better you feel, and then you can use that energy to create. So that's how I stay out of the. I mean, that doesn't stop me from doing some crazy high magic on occasion, but
right. But there's definitely something to be said for that practical magic that takes magical intent and pairs it hand in hand with getting real world stuff done.
Right.
You can't just put it all out there on a psychic level and hope that that's going to be enough. You have to actually have boots on the ground. Boots on the ground is one of my favorite phrases, and you have to be willing to stand straight.
Every time I have this conversation, because this is one of the conversation that goes around. Every time I have this conversation with somebody, it reminds me of an old joke. Buy a ticket. You pray and pray and pray to win the lottery, but you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket.
Yeah. My dad always told the joke as I sent you two boats and a helicopter. So
yes,
it was
that I sent you a car. I sent you a boat. I sent a helicopter.
Yeah. What else were you expecting from me? Yeah.
Right. Although I have had those moments, I'm like, God, send me this. It's like the scene from Dracula Dead and Loving It, where he's like, should I marry this woman? He's asking his dead wife if he should marry this woman, and the house is going nuts, and he says no, and he's like,
oh,
any sign.
Just a sign, just a small sign, any sign. Yeah.
Pictures turning, things are flying.
Yeah.
So, okay, I do want to pick your brain about, because as an eclectic witch, mm-hmm. I know that my experience, because I was I'm going to put other quotes up here because I know there's real covens, and this definitely weren't. I was in a coven in my early teens that was really just a bunch of potheads hanging out. And, I think I was probably the most magically inclined there because I was actually like interested in the ritual and how the magic works. But so I've kind of been off on my own since, because I can't, when you start on that path, you can't rely on other people. So you have to find your own magic. So what drew you to a tradition? Like what defines that? Like, where's the definition between eclectic and traditional to you?
Yeah. Those are good questions, and probably really involved ones.
Well, we got time. We got till 8 o'clock.
Okay. So, what drew me to a tradition was structured training. And I wasn't interested in any tradition that didn't have something that looked like structured training. I wanted... When I first started getting involved with the craft and with paganism, I knew that I had a lot to learn, and I wanted somebody to learn from who knew something, and that their skills and their knowledge were demonstrable. So I started with an online group that still exists, and it's wonderful. I started out actually practicing with the Sisterhood of Avalon, which is not witchcraft in any way, but it is an amazing group of women's spirituality practitioners, goddess practitioners, and I found a lot of what I needed from that group. However, when I moved to California, I was living in Los Angeles, really close to North Hollywood. And at the time, there was a place called Raven's Flight there. It still exists as an online shop, but it's no longer a brick and mortar store. But at the time, it was a brick and mortar, and it was kind of a community center. So Raven had her shop, and then her husband owned the shop next door. And the back that connected them was like a big outdoor space for ritual and gatherings. And at any given time, they had 2 to 3 classes going on. They had rituals 2 and 3 times a week. And everybody in the area was coming there to ritual. The OTO was doing ritual there. Every witchcraft tradition on the face of Los Angeles was doing a ritual there. And it was a hotbed for traditional witchcraft. So Peter Padden, the founder of Pendrake Publishing, was out of there. Like, he and his group were there. Raven herself is now published author through Pendrake. But then there were lots of others that were around in that area too. So I was really, really highly exposed to the 1734 lines of magic and craft, and writings of Robert Cochrane, Boy Bowers. And there was just sort of a magnetic pull for me with that type of craft. When I started hearing about the witch father, Tubal Cain, that sort of central male figure there, I knew that was sort of the piece that I had been missing within the goddess spirituality. I needed and wanted that very
Balance.
primal, powerful. Yeah. And so, and my high priestess, the woman who became my high priestess, is definitely a font of knowledge, and experience and practice. She was a fairly controversial figure in that area, and she definitely had some of her own stuff going on, which, witch wars being what they are, that kind of thing.
Yeah. You get 5 people in a room and there's going to be something going around.
Well, and stuff went around very shortly after I got involved with that coven. So I ended up having kind of an isolated experience with people that were I'm at that time, I guess. And then I'm connected again back to that large community that had been there.
Right.
20 years later, I still communicate with some of those folks. Definitely still follow their work. They're putting out good content. And what's always interesting and shocking to me is how much what I've come to understand on my own is very much in line with what they're publishing about. Ooh. Even though I didn't necessarily learn it from them, and I didn't necessarily learn all of it from my training high priestess. Some of it was stuff I got after I did.
Yeah, something you picked up.
Yeah. Yep. But all that confirmation and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was what my draw to traditional craft was really about, was that I wanted something that was rooted in tradition and kind of a training program.
I can understand that, because that's one of those things I've always kind of looked for. But like at this point, I've done so much level 1 stuff that I'm a master of whatever the hell it is I'm doing, but it's obviously not what you all are doing.
And you know what? On some level, it's a matter of doing what does work for you and finding what does work for you. That's one of the things that I encourage from my own students, because it's always been very important to me to sort of continue that thread of handing down that knowledge and that experience and those skills. That's to me what tradition is about, is passing along that symbol set, and the skills and the practices and that knowledge base. That's what makes a tradition. Is something that, I can convey to somebody else, or to guide them to the initiatory experiences where they'll be able to experience, the witch father, the witch mother firsthand in their own way.
Right.
And then that they'd be able to do the same in turn to their students down the line if they choose to teach.
That's really cool. I love any live stream that's going to prompt me to go back and watch it again to look for resources.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what I hope to do with my own channel, is just to provide some resources. And that's a lot of the feedback that I've been getting, is that there aren't nearly as many traditional witchcraft YouTubers out there.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole lot of 101. Honestly, that's what drew me to your channel in the first place, was that it was not, and probably why you're doing so well, which congratulations on the sudden boom. I know when I first invited you on this channel, you had fewer subscribers than I did, and you blew me away.
Well, and it's not a competition, but I am very grateful for the growth that the channel is having. And I'm surprised, I try not to check it every day. I try not to be, just because I don't give myself that stress. But, if I get the notification, oh, you have a new subscriber, I'm kind of like, how many do I have now? And I'll look, and every time I'm like, oh, that's a few more than I thought I had. Hooray. Because, it's kind of, I'm sure you experience this too. It's challenging in this sort of medium if you're not, I go and present at classes and stuff, and I get feedback with people in real time in that kind of oh, hey, what you just said was really, really struck a chord with me. It really made sense. You know, I appreciate that. It lets me know, you know, to keep developing content. Something like this, you know, you're just waiting on those numbers to give you the feedback of like,
and the occasional random comment.
Yeah, and the occasional comment, yeah.
So a thumbs up here and there. No, I do love your content. So I got to tell you, I do love the fact that you are teaching what I would say was a bit more advanced than what most of YouTube is on about right now.
I struggle to keep things at the 101 level. Like I can teach the 101 content, but I've done it so long.
Right.
And there's so much of that out there that I kind of feel like we don't need somebody else telling us how to a candle. Like if you want to know how to a candle or, you know, that kind of thing, there's 1,000,002 videos out there about that. I want to get into something that, you know, hasn't been covered endlessly.
Yes. So I actually, I'm trying to remember what you know what, is post work. My brain is not working as well as I'd hoped it would be right now. I really wish I had written something down, but that's just not my style. Because I know that some of the things you've covered, I had never heard about. And it's not like I haven't been around, but I'm like, what was it? It was something to do with the Yule ritual where they went outside and were around the tree.
Oh, wassailing. Mm-hmm.
Wassailing. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah. So, and that's still, I mean, that's still done in the UK. Like that's still a thing. And it's where our idea of caroling comes from, because it went from wassailing the trees, you know, drinking to the health of the orchard, to then taking the same wassail pot, you know, which was filled with fruit juice and rum and spices and all things delicious, and taking that and singing to your neighbors, their good health and prosperity. So, you know, we still have that tradition. Hey, just call it by a different name and don't bring rum with us. But
and see, why is the rum gone?
Why is the rum gone?
No, you had me at fruit juice and rum. I'm in.
Right.
It does sound like, it just sounds like fun. Let's go and hang out with the trees and drink, which is, you know, fundamental to my personal practice.
Same here.
Maybe not. You know, I don't just go out and drink. That sounds very lush, but I do go out and drink.
I mean, it's one of those, if it suits you, don't not go out and drink, you know. If it supports your needs and your intention, it's not ruining your life, by all means.
There was something else I wanted to pick your brain about, and I cannot remember to save my life right now. Do you have any questions for me?
What are your favorite sort of non-tarot forms of psychic reading?
Oh my God. Now see, yeah, you hit me right in my bailiwick. Part of the reason, so when I started this channel, I kind of had the same idea as you do about how I wanted to do something that was a little non-standard. Obviously, I'm pretty non-standard, as you know, that's just where I live. But like, there's so many forms of divination that have been formed up that are not cards. Like the cards, everybody goes straight for the tarot cards because it's kind of a 101 thing. You're breaking through that first scary bit of, you know, oh, we're doing stuff we're not supposed to. And they either go for the tarot or the Ouija board. And I went for the tarot because the tarot was given to me. But so I've almost used this channel as a way of studying. Like these, I seem like an expert because I have a script editor now. So it seems like I know what I'm talking about, but a lot of times I have gone and studied this thing and I'm sort of presenting what I've learned. I think my favorite right now is tessiomancy because that's what I'm focused on. And I think I like it partially because it would, you know, tea is so ubiquitous. It's like palm reading. I've actually had several people who were, you know, either agnostic or Christian or just, you know, just not into that sort of thing, who told me about how their mother would teach them about, you know, tea readings, like some, you know, and the whole I even found on YouTube, like I have a whole list of resources, like playlist of resources that I watched for my Tessiomancy video, and one of them is the LibriVox. It's a LibriVox book, which basically means it's in the public domain, but it's just tea reading, and it's like I think it's 1800s, early 1800s. It was because I mean, it had to have time for tea to come to, Western civilization and steep a bit. But, so and just the interesting little traditions around it. Like, that was folk magic. That was good old fashioned folk magic. It wasn't like the church didn't care about it because everybody did it. And it was sort of like, that's just how people lived.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of magic, and it's interesting to get into some of that. I don't necessarily claim to be an expert on all of it, but some of the reading that I'm doing right now is about how early on in the witch trials, the witch hunters and the church was not concerned about the kinds of folk magic that people performed on a day-to-day basis. They were only concerned with what they considered malicium, which are and diabolism. So they were concerned with people worshiping the devil and having a devil as their primary god, and which was, heresy. We can't have that. The church was very upset about that, and they were concerned about then people using magic to harm others. So if you weren't harming others or espousing a devil worship kind of practice, early on, they didn't care about you. Now later, they did.
I noticed that got tighter and tighter. I remember actually. Go ahead.
I was going to say later they started considering a whole lot more to be the devil, and that was a big part of where that came from, was that accounts of fairy encounters, which are rampant all over the British Isles, and then all over the continent as well. This idea of encounters with land spirits and spirits of the dead, both of those would have been considered fairy folk. All
or the
of
Revenant.
That. Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to just look into the Revenant. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that those others that had been very considered benign before, they started considering all of that personal devil that you were engaging with.
I did notice that, and it did seem that I noticed, like, because I've actually, I think every one of us has probably studied about there's so much out there about the Salem witch trials, but I did try to go back and look more into the European witch trials, and it did seem to be, there was a class aspect to it, a bad one.
There definitely was a class aspect to it. There were some wealthier people, even some nobility who were accused and tried, and found guilty of witchcraft. A few who were executed, and then a few notable ones like Dame Alice Keitler, who got away. But but for the most part, it was poor people dealing with their folk magic and local spirits, who under duress were, revealing other people's practices and talking about their own, and then sometimes obviously under that duress just making stuff up that would have sounded to them like real stuff, because
anything to make them stop. Okay, so switching gears, tell us more about your books.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I've got on the one side, I've got all the Aphrodite side books. So there's Aphrodite Priestess, which is sort of the very first one that I wrote, which is taking a hard look at different Aphrodite myths and applying that to what it means to be a priestess of a love goddess in contemporary society and in a contemporary world. And then as an extension of that, a few years later, I wrote Cult of Aphrodite, which is a collection of rites and rituals, festivals associated with Aphrodite. Some of them are very much like pulled out of the past and dusted off and given new life in a contemporary context. Some of them are purely contemporary constructs. And then there's Crown of Violets, which is a devotional chapbook of art and poetry and that type of thing in honor of Aphrodite. And then and then I have a fiction book on the Aphrodite side as well called Temple of Love. And it casts the poet Sappho, who was from around the 5th century BCE, from the Isle of Lesbos. It casts her as a priestess of Aphrodite and sort of imagines what her life, because we have very few facts about her life. We have fragments of her poetry, which are strikingly beautiful. And, you know, some of the most poignant ones are addressed to Aphrodite. So I went, what if she was actually...
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. So I kind of took that leap of intuition and just sort of dove into what her life might have looked like from beginning to end. And then on the other side, on the witchcraft side of things, I've got a book called Liber Cain, which is a channeled work. My ex-wife and I actually channeled that work, and it gives voice to sort of two aspects of the witch's goddess, the black goddess and the white goddess. And then sandwiched between them, the red thread that connects and ties it all together is the witch father. So one night during a ritual experience and wrote down, recorded everything. That book. And then I have a book about working with spirits of Croatia, the Lesbian Solomon. It's called,
I never could get into that.
No?
I'm not gonna lie, I never could. I could never. I'm like, if I've got to kick you out of my house, then I don't want to invite you.
See,
That's like my kind of theory.
One of the things that I say right off the start is that definitely not all of the spirits need that forceful an invitation to leave. My primary familiar spirits are all from the Legion, and they're groovy. They're awesome. Like, I really love them. So they get sort of bundled together as this big bad group that isn't necessarily what they are. So
Right.
The Witch's Key to the Legion is a look at those spirits for witches. I'm in the process of rewriting, like revising and updating that book, because I feel like when I first put it out, I was in such an eager rush. It was about 10 years ago to get the content out there that I left some important things out. So I'm putting together a new version of that and putting that out. I'm hoping to have that done here in just a couple of months.
That'd be cool. Yeah, definitely let me know when you're doing a thing, because I am interested. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy that your channel's doing well. Like, I know I'm being a jealous bitch over here, but I am happy for you.
Well, I think it's important to be able to support each other and to be able to say, because there's enough success in the world for everybody, I think. There's a lot of watch hours out there available for people on YouTube, so being able to support and cheer each other on is a good and mighty thing. I do have one other book that just came out recently, and that's the course book for the Red Thread Academy, which is
Red Thread Academy.
So over the years, I've had a lot of people ask me to teach them online, and I didn't have a way to do that. I put the course manual together. So the course manual is a self-paced study program. It's actually going to be 3 course manuals, but the first year is out right now. And it's set up so that a person could go through it by week lessons, and it would take them about a year. Or they can do it in longer than that if they need longer than that. You know, I'm not the witchcraft police. And then if they want to, they can also join. There's a Facebook group that's set up for students in that program, and it's basically teaching them the witchcraft tradition that I practice.
Cool. That's nice. I know I've seen a lot of those around. Like the little. Oh my god! Sorry, y'all. It's late. The individual witchcraft schools. I always thought those were kind of cool. How do you juggle it? Like, you've got what now? I know you've talked about what, 5 or 6 books. More than that, I didn't count.
A lot of well, writing is a passion, and it's also how I have done primary part of almost 20 years. So I consider, when I was 9, I decided that I was going to be a writer. I read Little Women and got inspired by Jo March, and was like, that's me, I'm a writer, and I started writing and didn't stop. So I can't not be writing, and that's how I share most of what I know. This venture into YouTube has been like a whole new thing for me, and I had to get over a whole bunch of like stage fright and insecurity to like turn around myself and that.
You wouldn't believe it now, but I know exactly what you mean. I used to do these terrible talking heads, and I have ADD. I have no business doing just a plain talking head video for myself, because I wouldn't even outline. So I would sit there and I would retake it like 17, 18 times before I would upload. I'm like, what am I doing?
I definitely get it. I outline, but I don't script. So there are times when, like, if you saw my raw footage where I'm just like looking at the camera sometimes going, that was not what I meant to say. Or I'll be like, Laurelie, go back and delete that, and we're gonna add this in.
Let's try that again. Though, that's I for my more theatrical videos, I script those all the way out. But I've definitely had times, so I got whole blooper reels of just random crap where a lot of times where I'm trying to psych myself up to talk, I'm like, I just sit there and sing and dance, or I'll say something. The glories of editing.
Indeed. Yeah.
So we've got about 10 more minutes. Is there anybody that you would like to share the glory with? Somebody you want to plug?
There are a lot of authors and witches, writers that have been an inspiration to me, and whose work has really sort of fueled my own over the years, who've written things and have been like, oh, that's brilliant, I have a counterpoint, or right. Or who I feel like our work has gone hand in hand over the years. I would definitely include Robin Artisan on that list. Like, I love Robin's work. I don't always do things the way Robin does, but I think Robin has such a flair for capturing the thrill of witchcraft, and the deep mystery and allure behind it. So so definitely. And then there's actually there's a blogger who has kind of pulled back from the public eye lately. The last couple of years, I think she took her blogs down and that type of thing. But her work was so influential to me, has been so influential to me, and that is Sarah Ann Lawless. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, but
sounds familiar.
She's a Canadian, and she's still doing stuff with her herbalism and has a shop online and that type of thing. So like, her work is still available, just not her written work, and her words. Like, I have so many references in books that I've written or in things that I've written, in blog entries that I've written, that link back articles that sadly just aren't there anymore. Because,
Yeah.
But I think we have that, as which is time, like I'm out and I'm doing the thing and I'm teaching them in public. We go, oh,
Yeah, I just need to take a break. Yeah.
It's hermit time.
Yeah. The journey of the fool. Sometimes it's the sun and sometimes it's the hermit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can find Laurelie Black on YouTube. She has a Facebook and all those books, I'm going to have to rewatch this to go through for just and with a notebook and write down some of the stuff you said.
So they're all linked on any video on my YouTube channel. You can find all of the links to all of those books on any video description of mine because I'm that way.
That's great though. I'm learning to be that way. I'm learning to self-promote. That is one of the things that is the hardest about it. Is that I have got to think I'm as cool as I want other people to think I am.
I struggle with I honestly struggle with the self-promotion as well, but I'm working on it. It's a skill that I'm trying to learn, and it's one that I think is 21st century, which is if we have content that we're trying to share publicly, we have to learn how to do that for ourselves. So
right. So go check out Laurelie Black and Blade and Broom. There we go. Also, don't forget to check out, I've got a whole bunch of new social media up, getting worked on. Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Subscribestar. And our cause of the month. I always do a cause of the month, but this month I'm doing mental health maintenance. So every day I've tried to post a short, which I have moved to the shorts channel because it was tanking my algorithm. So I now have a shorts channel. Check it out. And that's where the challenge is. Today's challenge was to drink a glass of water. So, is there anything you'd like to end on, or?
No, just thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been just a lovely conversation.
I always love these. I always love the live streams. So thank you for coming on. Don't forget to drop us a line if you're doing any events or anything, because, I'm interested. So, well, everybody, I hope you have a good night. Safe travel and much profit to you.